Picture this. You wake up, walk to the bathroom mirror, and for just a second before your brain catches up, you see yourself clearly. Not the version you perform for other people, just the actual person standing there in the early morning light. And something feels slightly off. Not dramatically wrong, not something you could point to and name, just a quiet sense that the person looking back at you has been slowly, almost imperceptibly, fading. Not all at once, day by day, in ways so ordinary, so woven into your daily routine that you stopped noticing them entirely. Today that changes. Welcome back to Modern Stoicism, where ancient philosophy meets the actual battles of modern life. Here is something Marcus Aurelius understood that most people today have completely forgotten. Your appearance is not just about genetics or skincare routines or the gym membership you keep renewing. Your appearance is the physical signature of how you live. Every thought you habitually think, every emotion you chronically suppress, every habit you repeat without questioning, all of it shows up on your face, in your posture, in the way you carry yourself through a room. The Stoics called this the unity of the inner and outer life. What you are inside, you eventually become outside. Today we are walking through 10 silent, invisible destroyers, things you are doing or failing to do every single day that are quietly eroding not just your appearance, but your presence, your vitality, and your power. These are not skincare tips. These are the deep physiological and philosophical truths the Stoics lived by, and that most people in the modern world have quietly abandoned. Let's begin. 1. Chronic anxiety and the face it carves. Picture a version of yourself from 5 years ago. Then picture the version looking back at you this morning. If anxiety has been your baseline in the years between those two images, not occasional worry, but the constant, gnawing, low-level dread that lives in your chest and never fully lifts, then some of what looks different between those two versions isn't age, it's that. Here is what the Stoics knew by observation and what science has now confirmed in remarkable detail. When you are in a chronic state of anxiety, your body floods itself with cortisol, your primary stress hormone. At elevated levels, sustained over time, cortisol does something devastating to the body it lives in. It breaks down collagen, the protein that keeps your skin firm, elastic, and structured. Without it, the skin thins, it sags. Lines deepen earlier than they should have. The face loses its architecture, not because you aged, because you have been living in a sustained state of internal war. And it goes beyond skin. Chronic anxiety disrupts sleep, suppresses the immune system, and drives inflammation through the body. Inflammation is not just a word doctors use. It is the biological engine underneath almost every visible sign of physical decline. Picture Marcus Aurelius, governing an empire during simultaneous military campaigns and a plague that killed millions of people. Not a symbolic plague, a real one, sweeping through actual cities. He had more legitimate reasons for anxiety than most of us will ever face. And yet in his private journal, never written for anyone else to read, he wrote this to himself. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it with the same weapons of reason that arm you against the present. He wasn't pretending the threats weren't real. He was mastering his response to them. And that mastery was visible in his bearing, in his decisions, in the quality of his presence even during history's most difficult chapters. The Stoic practice for this is amor fati, not passive acceptance of difficulty, but an active, disciplined refusal to let what you cannot control poison the body you live in. Ask yourself honestly tonight, what are you anxious about right now that 6 months from now you will barely remember? And then ask the harder question. What is that anxiety costing your face, your sleep, and your body every single day it stays? 2. Sleep deprivation, the accelerator of everything. Picture someone you know who consistently gets 7 or 8 hours of solid sleep, compared to someone you know who runs on 5 or 6 and considers it a badge of efficiency. Look at them closely. There is a difference that has nothing to do with luck or genetics. It shows up in the quality of the skin, in the brightness of the eyes, in a kind of aliveness that either is or isn't present. Here's what is actually happening during the hours you sleep, because most people have never been told precisely how much their body depends on them. During deep sleep, your body releases human growth hormone. Damaged skin cells are repaired. Collagen production increases. Cortisol drops. Inflammation decreases. Your immune system strengthens. Your brain clears away metabolic waste that, if it accumulates, affects your cognition, your mood, and the quality of thought that eventually shows in your expression and bearing. When you consistently sleep too little, those restorative processes never finish. Night after night, your body carries unfinished repairs forward. Week after week, stress hormones remain elevated. Month after month, inflammation grows quietly, and eventually, the evidence appears where everyone can see it. Dark circles that don't resolve, puffiness that doesn't clear, a dullness in the skin that doesn't lift, a look of permanent exhaustion that no weekend recovery fully reverses. The compounding effect here is what most people miss. 2 bad nights can be recovered. 2 years of poor sleep slowly reshapes your biology. Hormonal balance shifts, recovery slows. The body begins adapting to exhaustion instead of health, and that adaptation quietly becomes the new baseline. Seneca wrote that wisdom lies in knowing what deserves your energy, not in wasting it without purpose. Sleep is not laziness. It is the foundation on which strength, clarity, beauty, and resilience are built. Sacrificing it for another hour of scrolling or another episode is not discipline. It is self-destruction that has learned to call itself productivity. Tonight, ask yourself one honest question. If you guarded your sleep with the same seriousness you guard your money or your reputation, how different would your face, your health, and your energy look 1 year from now? 3. Poor posture, the signal your body sends before you speak. Picture 2 people walking into a room. Same height, same clothes, same objective features. One walks in with shoulders rolled forward, chin jutting toward the floor, spine curved like a question mark. The other walks in with the spine long, the shoulders back, the head level, eyes forward. Every person in that room registers the difference before either person has said a single word. Posture is communication. It is the silent language your body speaks ahead of everything else. And what forward, collapsed posture communicates, before you open your mouth, before anyone learns your name or hears your voice, is defeat, exhaustion, a person who has quietly given up. But here's what most people don't know about what poor posture actually does to the face specifically. Forward head posture, which affects the vast majority of people who use smartphones regularly, adds enormous additional pressure on the cervical spine. It compresses the vertebrae. It tightens the muscles along the face and jaw. Over time, it literally reshapes the skeletal structure your face rests upon. It reduces your apparent height. It changes how you breathe, which reduces oxygen to the brain, which affects your sharpness, your mood, and the quality of aliveness in your eyes. Picture Epictetus, who was enslaved, who was physically disabled after his master broke his leg as a demonstration of power, who owned literally nothing in the material sense, and who was known throughout Rome for walking through the world with a dignity that commanded the respect of emperors and philosophers alike. He had every external reason to carry himself as someone defeated. He chose not to, and that choice was visible in how he moved. His teaching applies directly here. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Your posture is entirely within your power. Every single moment of every single day, you can choose to stand taller, pull your shoulders back, lift your chin, lengthen your spine, not as vanity, as ownership, as the most basic, immediate, available act of stoic self-mastery you have access to right now. 4. Dehydration, the invisible drought. Picture your skin regenerating itself, because it actually does. Roughly every 27 days, the outermost layer of your skin is completely replaced. Every cell turned over, rebuilt from whatever materials are available. The question is, what is it being built from? Your body is approximately 60 to 70% water. Your blood, Your muscles, your brain, your organs, and the skin that presents your face to the world every day are all built around it. And yet millions of people spend their lives in a state of chronic, low-level dehydration, never dramatic enough to feel like a crisis, just constant enough to create a slow, invisible drain on how they look and function. Dehydrated skin loses its elasticity and natural fullness. It appears thinner, rougher, less vibrant. Fine lines become more visible, not because the skin has aged overnight, but because dehydrated tissue can't maintain the smoothness it otherwise would. The eyes lose brightness, the complexion turns dull and uneven. The face carries a tired quality that no topical product can permanently reverse, because the problem isn't on the surface, it's inside. Beyond appearance, water is essential for nearly every chemical process keeping your body functional. When hydration drops, blood circulation becomes less efficient. Nutrients travel more slowly, and waste products linger longer. Cortisol levels can rise, mental clarity fades, headaches arrive, mood becomes less stable, and then people reach for coffee or energy drinks to correct what is actually, very simply, a water problem. The Stoics placed enormous importance on mastering what we consume. Seneca taught that discipline begins with what we allow into our lives, because every choice shapes character over time. What enters the body influences the mind, and a clear mind cannot exist inside a neglected body. Before you go to bed tonight, drink a glass of water. Before your coffee tomorrow morning, before your phone, water. It is not a magic cure. It is the most basic, most overlooked foundation of how you look and feel. And it is one of the few things on this list that costs almost nothing and begins working almost immediately. 5. Chronic negativity and the face it builds over time. Picture two people who have lived the same number of years. One of them has spent those years cycling through resentment, bitterness, envy, and complaint. The other has worked at cultivating genuine curiosity, warmth, and gratitude, not perfectly, but consistently. Now look at their faces. The difference isn't just mood, it's structural. The muscles of the face adapt to the expressions used most often. The emotional patterns become grooves, then channels, then permanent features. The corners of the mouth that have spent years pulled downward. The brow that has spent years furrowed in resistance. The eyes that have gradually lost their warmth through years of guarded negativity. These aren't metaphors. They are the literal physical result of habitual emotional states. But there is something happening beneath the surface that is even more significant. Chronic negative emotional states drive inflammation, the same inflammation we discussed in the first section. It attacks the skin. It disrupts the gut, which is directly linked to the clarity of your complexion. It elevates cortisol, which destroys collagen. Negativity is not just a mental weather pattern. It is a physical environment you live inside of, and your body is constantly paying the cost. The Stoics were not naive optimists. Marcus Aurelius didn't pretend the world was beautiful when it was brutal. He wrote his meditations during wars and plagues, surrounded by betrayal and loss. But he made one radical, disciplined choice that changed everything he was and everything he projected. He wrote that the happiness of his life depended on the quality of his thoughts, not the quality of his circumstances, not the behavior of other people, not the events around him, the quality of his thoughts. Every thought you habitually think is quietly sculpting the face you present to the world. The question worth asking honestly is, what are those thoughts building? 6. Sedentary living, the slow wilting of the human form. The human body was not designed for the life most people are living right now. It was not built to sit for 8 or 10 hours, move only as far as a keyboard or a phone, spend evenings collapsed on a couch while another episode plays in the background. It was built for movement, challenge, and purposeful physical effort. And when you deny it those things consistently, it begins to deteriorate in ways that eventually become impossible to hide. Muscle mass gradually declines without use. As muscles weaken, posture collapses. And we have already discussed what that cost you in terms of presence and the structure of your face. Physical inactivity slows blood circulation, which means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching the skin. Without that circulation, the complexion loses its natural color and glow. The eyes lose some of the brightness that healthy blood flow provides every single day. No product can fully substitute for what movement gives your body as a matter of biological function. Sedentary living also traps stress inside the body. Movement is one of the most effective ways the nervous system has to process and discharge cortisol. Every walk, every workout, every stretch sends a signal that the threat has passed, that the body can return from high alert. When movement is absent, stress accumulates with no outlet. Day after day, the body remains locked in a quiet state of tension, and that shows in the face, in the eyes, in the way a person carries themselves through a room. Marcus Aurelius trained as both a soldier and a wrestler, understanding that physical discipline supported mental discipline. The Stoics were not sedentary philosophers. Cato the Elder embraced physical hardship deliberately, not to punish himself, but to strengthen his character through consistent, purposeful effort. They understood the body as the instrument through which the mind expressed its highest virtues. A neglected instrument cannot perform at its full capacity. You don't need to become an elite athlete, but you must move with purpose every single day. Walk, stretch, lift, climb. Simply refuse to let comfort become your permanent condition, because the body you live in is a direct reflection of the habits you repeat. 7. Digital overconsumption and the light leaving your eyes. Picture the most compelling person you know, someone who, when they walk into a room, seems more present than the people around them, more awake, more alive in a way that's hard to name but impossible to miss. Now think about what you notice first about them. Almost always, it's the eyes. There is a brightness there, a depth, a quality that says someone is genuinely home inside this body. Nothing extinguishes that quality faster than chronic digital overconsumption. Here's what actually happens physiologically. Hours of screen exposure bombard the eyes with blue light, causing oxidative stress to the cells of the retina. The eyes dry out, redden, and lose their clarity. The whites develop subtle discoloration. The constant micro-focus required for screen use creates tension around the eyes that, over years, contributes to premature lines and a permanently strained expression that has nothing to do with age. But the deeper destruction is neurological. Chronic social media consumption rewires the brain's reward system. You become habituated to rapid, shallow stimulation. The next scroll, the next notification, the next piece of novelty. And when the brain has been trained to crave constant novelty, it loses the capacity for sustained, deep engagement. That loss is visible. The stillness leaves. The depth leaves. The quality of genuine presence that makes someone magnetic, that leaves too. Seneca wrote in a letter that has survived 2,000 years, "Retire into yourself as much as possible." He could not have imagined the smartphone. He perfectly described its antidote. The Stoics practiced silence. They practiced solitude. They practiced the kind of deep, sustained engagement with ideas and reality that is the direct opposite of the endless scroll. And the result was not just mental clarity, it was a quality of presence, a depth in the eyes, a stillness in the face that modern people are losing at an accelerating pace. Put the phone down, not occasionally, as a practice, as a discipline, as an act of self-respect. Your eyes will speak louder than almost anything else about you. Make sure they are still saying something worth hearing. 8. Poor nutrition and the body's quiet collapse. Here is a fact that most people know but have never truly absorbed. Your skin, the largest organ in your body, is completely regenerated approximately every 27 days. Every cell in the outermost layer replaced, rebuilt from scratch. The question this raises is simple. What are you building it with? If your daily diet is primarily processed foods, refined sugar, inflammatory oils, fast food, alcohol, and empty calories, then the new skin being constructed every month is being built from inferior materials. The result is a complexion that is simultaneously dull and inflamed, slow to heal, prone to breakouts, lacking the luminosity that genuinely well-nourished skin carries naturally. Beyond skin, chronic poor nutrition depletes the nutrients the face literally depends on to maintain its structure. Vitamin C, essential for collagen production. Zinc, critical for wound healing and skin clarity. Omega-3 fatty acids, the building blocks of healthy cellular membranes. Iron, which maintains the oxygenation that gives your face color and life. Deficiencies in these things don't announce themselves dramatically. They whisper. They manifest as subtle dullness, slow recovery, hair that gradually thins, eyes that lose their brightness in a way that's hard to pinpoint but easy to see. Epictetus taught that the philosopher must be master of appetite, not its slave, not because pleasure is wrong, but because enslavement to appetite is its own form of surrender. And the modern food environment is specifically engineered to make you its slave. Everything about it is designed to override the body's natural signals and keep you consuming more than you need, of things that cost you more than you realize. The Stoic response here is not perfection. It is not a rigid, joyless regime. It is the deliberate, conscious choice to feed your body as though you respect it, as though you understand that the matter you put inside yourself becomes the matter you present to the world. Ask yourself honestly, if your body is the instrument through which you live your life, what are you building it with? 9. The suppression of authentic emotion. This one is the subtlest on this list, and for many of you, it will land the deepest. Picture someone you know who holds everything tightly, never quite lets you see what they're actually feeling, projects a controlled, unaffected exterior under almost all circumstances. If you know this person well enough, you've probably noticed something in their face over time. A tension around the jaw, a guardedness in the eyes, a set to the brow that never quite releases. That is not discipline, that is suppression, and suppression has a visible cost. There is a belief that has quietly infected modern culture, especially among people who consider themselves strong or rational, that the best way to handle difficult emotions is to not feel them, to push them down, to project calm while the storm rages unacknowledged inside. This is not Stoicism. It is a common misreading of it, and it is important to be clear about the difference. What Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca actually practiced was not the suppression of emotion, it was the disciplined processing of emotion, feeling fully, acknowledging completely, and then consciously choosing how to respond. The difference between being ruled by your emotions and being informed by them. When emotions are chronically suppressed rather than processed, the body becomes the storage container for everything the mind refuses to face. The jaw clenches habitually until the muscles permanently alter the appearance of the lower face. The brow furrows in constant unconscious resistance. The shoulders rise toward the ears and never fully come down. The body holds what the mind won't address, and chronic muscular tension sustained over years literally reshapes the face. This is not a metaphor, it is biology. Beyond the musculature, emotional suppression fuels chronic psychological stress, elevates cortisol, destroys collagen, drives inflammation, the same chain we've traced throughout this entire video. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He was not telling you to ignore what is hard. He was telling you to walk through it rather than around it. Because what you run from follows you, and what you suppress, your body expresses in the only language it has available. Feel what you feel, process it, let it move through and out, because the face that has nothing to hide is the most magnetic face in any room. 10. The loss of purpose and the face of a life unlived. Now we arrive at the deepest one, the one that underlies every other item on this list. The one the Stoics placed above all others. Picture two people at the same age, late 60s, early 70s. One of them is unmistakably alive. There is a fire in their eyes, a quality of presence that cuts through the room. They are engaged, curious, animated. The other has already begun to fade, not from illness, not from deprivation, but from something harder to name. The light has gone out behind the eyes. The posture has collapsed inward. The face carries the expression of someone who stopped expecting much from their remaining time. The difference, in almost every case, is purpose. One of them is still building something, still pursuing something that demands their full presence. The other stopped. Purpose is not a philosophical luxury. Research in the field of psychoneuroimmunology, the study of the connection between the mind and the immune system, has confirmed what the Stoics understood by direct observation. People with a strong sense of purpose carry measurably lower levels of chronic inflammation, lower cortisol, better sleep quality, stronger immune function, and significantly better maintenance of physical vitality as they age. Purpose is not just motivation. It is anti-aging medicine, not in a bottle, but in the life you choose to live. Picture Marcus Aurelius at the end of his life, an emperor who had buried multiple children, governed through a devastating plague, led military campaigns across the empire, and faced betrayal from people he trusted. He had every reason to be destroyed by what life had taken from him. And yet his journals, written for no audience but himself in the final years of his life, return again and again to a single anchoring question. What is the most important thing I can do today in service of something larger than myself? That question was his compass. It kept the light on behind his eyes until the very end. When you have something you are genuinely building, something that demands your full presence, something that you would wake early for and stay up late for because it matters and because it is yours, everything changes. You walk differently. Your eyes change. There is a quality of aliveness that settles into your entire bearing that has nothing to do with the symmetry of your features or the brand of your clothing. It is the attraction of a life being fully lived. And when you lose it, when you drift into a life of consuming without creating, of comfort without challenge, of days passing without meaning, the body reflects that loss too. The light leaves, the posture collapses, the vitality drains. What remains is the appearance of someone who, somewhere along the way, quietly surrendered. The Stoics would call this the greatest tragedy. Not death, not failure, but the slow, silent abandonment of the self. Don't let it be your story. 10 silent destroyers: chronic anxiety, sleep deprivation, poor posture, dehydration, chronic negativity, sedentary living, digital overconsumption, poor nutrition, emotional suppression, and the loss of purpose. These are not 10 separate problems with 10 separate solutions. They are 10 windows into the same room. And in that room is the question that every human being across every culture and every century has been forced to face. How do I live? The Stoics answered with 4 foundational virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Wisdom to understand what actually matters. Justice to treat yourself and others with the integrity you know is right. Courage to face difficult truths and make hard changes. Temperance to master what you consume, what you do, what you think, what you feel. These 4 virtues, practiced daily, not perfectly but sincerely, produce something that no product or routine can replicate. A human being who is genuinely healthy, present, and unmistakably alive. A person whose appearance radiates the quality of the life they are choosing to live. Here is your challenge. Not 10 challenges. 1. Before you sleep tonight, write down the one silent destroyer from this list that you know, in your gut, has been working against you the longest. Just one. And then write one thing you will do differently tomorrow. Not a revolution. One thing. One choice. One small act of stoic self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that has stayed with me since the first time I read it. 6 words. Waste no more time arguing. Begin. Not tomorrow. Not when the conditions are perfect. Not when you feel ready enough. Now. You are already wiser than you were 20 minutes ago. Use it. If this shifted something for you, share it with one person you know who is quietly fading and doesn't yet have a name for why. Subscribe to Modern Stoicism for more of this every week, and drop a comment with the one silent destroyer that landed hardest for you. I read every single one, and your answer genuinely shapes what comes next on this channel. Until next time, stay grounded, stay clear, and keep going.